Now coming to the second part of this topic, that is important features of fifth schedule. But before discussing the important features of the fifth schedule, I would like to tell you about the provisions which are incorporated in the Constitution related to the scheduled areas and the tribal areas. Those provisions are Article 244 as well as Article 244A. Now, Article 244. Clause A of Article 244 says that the provisions of fifth schedule shall apply to the administration and control of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes in the states other than the states of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Manipur. Clause B of Article 244 says that the provisions of sixth schedule shall apply to the administration and control of tribal areas in the states of Assam, Meghalaya, Manipur and Tripura. Now, Article 244A. Now, this Article 244A was inserted in the Constitution by the Constitution 22nd Amendment Act 1969. This article empowers the Parliament to enact a law in order to create an autonomous state within the state of Assam and to provide this autonomous state having legislature or council of ministers or both with such functions as may be specified by law. Now coming to the important features of fifth schedule. First of all, what do you mean by scheduled areas? It is clearly defined in the fifth schedule. Scheduled areas are such areas as declared by the President by order to be the scheduled areas. Now, the President has the power to declare that any area or part of the area shall cease to be a scheduled area. The Parliament may also increase the scheduled areas in consultation with the governor of the state concerned. Now, different factors in order to create a scheduled areas. Though no criteria as such is prescribed in the Constitution as to the factors to be taken into consideration in order to declare a scheduled area. But yes, there are certain factors. For example, multitude of population, then compactness and reasonable size of the area, then is underdeveloped nature of the area, then marked difference in the economic standards of the area. These factors exemplify the principles which were followed by the subcommittees of Constituent Assembly. These principles were also followed under the Government of India Act 1935 while categorizing the areas into excluded areas as well as the partially excluded areas. Now, what are the powers of the governor under the provisions of the fifth schedule? The governor is required to submit the report to the President regarding the administration of scheduled areas annually or whenever required by the President. The executive power of the Union shall extend to giving such directions to the state government as required for the administration of the scheduled areas. The governor is also authorized to direct that any act of Parliament or the state legislature shall not apply or shall apply to these areas with such modifications or exceptions as required. Now, the governor is also given the power under this schedule to make regulations regarding peace and good government. Regarding peace and good government. The governor is also given the power to make laws to regulate the allotment of land, to regulate the business of money lending, to prohibit or restrict the transfer of land to the non-tribals. However, all these regulations made by the governors need the assent of the President, because without the assent of the President, these regulations are of no effect. In the case of Samatha versus State of Andhra Pradesh, it was held that the object of 5th and 6th schedule is to prevent the acquisition, the holding as well as the disposal of land to the non-tribals by the tribals. Another object of 5th and the 6th schedule is to allow these peoples living in the scheduled areas to enjoy the possession of land as well as to continue in the possession, which is very necessary for their financial empowerment as well as social status as well as dignity. As I have already said that the governor has the power to make regulations for peace and good government, it was clearly held in this case that these words peace and good government, they are very wide terms and the governor has a very wide discretion to make any laws for this purpose. There is another very important case law, that is Ram Kirpal versus State of Bihar. In this case, it was held that all the regulations made by the governor, they have the same effect as the laws made by the parliament. Now, there is a provision in the 5th schedule about the constitution of Tribes Advisory Council. Now, this Tribe Advisory Council is constituted in every state where there is a scheduled area. However, on the directions of the President, these councils can be constituted in a state where there are no scheduled areas but there are scheduled tribes. Now, these tribes advisory council shall have members not exceeding 20. 3/4 of the members shall be the representatives of the scheduled tribes in the Legislative Assembly of the states. In case the number of representatives are less than the number of seats required to be fulfilled, then those seats shall be filled by the members of the scheduled tribes in that state. Now, what is the main function of these tribe advisory councils? The duty of the tribe advisory council is to advise on the matters of welfare as well as advancement of these areas, the matters which are referred to these councils by the governor. In addition to the constitution of Tribes Advisory Council in the states, the governor also has the power to regulate the conduct of the meetings, to decide the number of the members, to how to appoint these members, the chairman. The governor is given the wide powers regarding this. Now, Article 339, Clause 1 of the Constitution is another important article relating to the 5th schedule. As under this article, the President is given the power to appoint a commission in order to report on the matters relating to the administration of scheduled areas. However, after the expiry of 10 years, it is mandatory for the President to constitute such commission. And therefore, this commission was constituted for the first time in the year of 1960 with Mr. Dabar as its chairman, who submitted the report in the year 1961. Then there is a very important provisions given in the 5th schedule, that is the amendment of the schedule. The amendment of the schedule is possible as per the provisions given there in the Constitution, and this amendment is possible only by an ordinary legislation, and there is no need to go through lengthy procedure of amendment of the Constitution. This was all about the important features of fifth schedule.